A localized node operates with corrupted memory registers, high entropy noise. Drifting without coordinates, it remains disconnected from its origin. Approaching the text as a historical narrative or a collection of moral allegories misidentifies the system's primary function. The topological pipeline, visualized here, functions as a closed, nonlinear thermodynamic informational loop governed by a specific sequence, 2327. As the hardware node interacts with this code, it enters a mandatory processing sequence. The system filters out local noise to recover the original invariant signal and return the node to a zero ground state. Recovery is managed by the 2327 architecture. It dictates how data is separated, how it is buffered, and ultimately resolved. The text defines events, profits, floods, splitting seas, as exact technical schematics for hardware resets and systemic apoptosis that every node must execute. The left 2 position is an input validation gate with 2 pathways. The upper pathway is case A, hardware overload. In verse 7143, a direct visual request triggers a signal spike that shatters the physical medium, the mountain, dropping the signal to absolute zero. The input magnitude exceeds the capacity of the physical hardware, forcing a hard state reset. The system logs the state as valid and continues. On the lower pathway is case B, the memory gap. Verse 1863 notes a forgotten fish at a junction. This missing block creates an empty space, defining a glowing coordinate frame. While the forgotten sign passes unregistered by the observer, the resulting gap provides the necessary navigation marker for the system. Localized forgetting acts as a mathematical boundary. It generates the coordinates required to identify the next node in the circuit. Left 2 functions as a filter. By forcing a hardware crash or identifying a missing sequence, the system isolates the signal from the observer's subjective noise. This ensures processing begins with verified data. The validated signal advances into the 3 buffer, an insulated spherical cavity. Jagged, chaotic noise remains outside, while the internal wave is perfectly smooth and silent. Verse 2187 documents this topology, placing the prophet Yunus inside triple darkness, the sea, the whale, and the night. This triple darkness creates maximum systemic compression, exerting force on the node from every direction. The compression triggers the node's activation confession. There is no deity except you. This command clears the reading frame of false subjects and assumed power structures. The invariant signal, the book, binds to the node's active memory only within this isolated silence. As external pressures reach their peak, the 3 buffer preserves the signal without decoherence. The belly of the whale functions as a decoherence-free zone, engineered to preserve delicate information during a high-pressure phase transition. The pipeline bifurcates here at the second operator, the right 2 phase. The system must exit the buffer via path A, flowing forward, or path B, looping back on itself. To exit successfully, the system must release its localized physical form to preserve the invariant information. Musa is commanded to throw down his staff. It hits the surface, shattering into thousands of fluid data particles, flowing cleanly in one direction. Surrendering the instrument of power constitutes an act of clean apoptosis. The localized form is intentionally released. Releasing the physical vessel allows the invariant signal to survive and advance along path A. Conversely, verse 3414 records a stuck state using Solomon's staff, where the form is held past its functional death. When the form refuses to release, the system enters path B. The staff turns rigid and gray, while a hollow, golden shell builds around it, vibrating with static waves that remain stagnant. This generates the golden calf pattern, where empty traces produce dead noise without content. The system enters the 8713 state, a hollow feedback loop where the node is neither living nor dying. The calculus of exit demands sacrifice. Holding the physical vessel destroys the information, while releasing the vessel allows the information to survive. Path A feeds into the 7, a terminal basin of attraction. Branching lines from across the screen fold back into a single, glowing central coordinate. A clean right-to exit leads directly into this zero ground attractor. The system operates on a piecewise map, where every trajectory is forced into a stable attractor. This recursive sequence eventually collapses into the fixed state of the number 7. This mechanism governs the civilizational resets described in verse 43-55. When the system collapses, the pattern is reinstalled as precedent, or Salaf, to govern the next iteration. Total mass energy is conserved. The invariant signal never leaves the equation. It simply returns to the source. The 2327 pipeline is a single cycle within a larger macrostructure, a symmetrical 12-node matrix. Currently, the network is dark. Positioned at the exact center between past and future is the reader, pulsing with a dim warning light. Despite its mathematical precision, the pipeline remains inert. Autonomous processing cannot begin. The system is paused, awaiting an explicit quantum measurement from the operator. Rebooting the system requires a specific initialization sequence. The activation command is found in verse 1912. Take the book with strength. Executing verse 1912 functions as a discrete quantum measurement that collapses the wave function. This measurement shatters the amnesia and engages the autopilot of least action, illuminating every interconnected pathway in the dark network. The operational firmware is installed. The topological pathways are carved. The memory of home is waiting. The universe is waiting for the operator.